I used to say when greeting somebody, "How's it going?" We were talking about this, and if you're Spanish, so here we are in Mexico, and I say to somebody in Spanish, "How's it going?" They have absolutely no idea. We've run this word together. They don't know what it is. Anyhow, here, of course, buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches. A little different, but when I was in San Antonio, we were hanging out in San Antonio for a while, and their greeting down there is, "How y'all doing? How y'all doing?" And I think I'm going to adopt that when I'm not speaking Spanish. How y'all doing? So it's going to be the new thing. So anyways, how y'all doing? Let's get into this thing and talk about CBDCs, central bank digital coins. So what are these exactly, and why are they relevant? Well, a central bank, very quick, many of you already know this, but a central bank is not the government. It's actually a private enterprise that works with governments to lend money for which the taxpayer pays interest, and they control your note. So as an example, in Canada, you have a Canadian dollar. If you read on it, it says this is a note from the Bank of Canada. Now, that doesn't make it legal tender. That means that note will negotiate for taxes primarily, and it's recognized. So a 20 Canadian dollar note is accepted, and people understand, and they go, okay, yeah, you know what, you owe me a debt, I'll accept that $20 because I can take it to the bank and pay my taxes with it. That's the kind of the thing. So CBDC is central bank digital coin. And some might say, well, don't we already have this? Kind of isn't, because I put my bank card in the ATM and I pull the money out. It's all digital. My credit card's digital. That's utilizing a digital network, but the actual currency is fiat, F-I-A-T. And the word fiat means by decree. So the government, by decree, is saying we can print as much money as we want, and we can give it to you, and you can use it to pay all your bills and conduct your business and commercial activity, and everybody's happy. Only the more they print, the more dollars it takes to buy things. And in the previous video, we talked about gas and groceries and things like that. It takes more of them. The cost of these goods, yes, it's affected by the overall cost of delivery and wages that have to go up and all these things. So that impacts the price. But at the end of the day, take a look back, and some of you that are old enough to remember a candy bar, a chocolate bar, as we called it in Vancouver. Chocolate bar was 10 cents. Now, what are they, $1.25, $1.50, something like this? So anyhow, that just gives you an idea of what your money has inflated into. How much more costly is it to make a chocolate bar today than it was in 1970? Still chocolate and peanuts and all that other crap, right? It's just a chocolate bar, but we pay $1 something or other for it now, and these corporations, to try to trick us, they shrink it as well. So it used to be this big, they're now this big, and but it's new and improved, remember that. So anyhow, talking about a CBDC and why is it relevant right now, recently the Bank of International Settlements, BIS, and their head, a guy named Augustin Carstens. It kind of reminds me of, if you watched Willy Wonka, Augustus Gloop. He's the big fat kid. And if you see this Carstens fella, I mean, I'm not doing a body shaming thing, don't take this the wrong way, but he is grotesquely large. But the absolute perfect character to be the head of the central bank of central banks. At BIS is kind of the boss of all the other central banks. So this big, grotesquely large, oinking monetary creature, you'll see a photo. Here it is. So you get my point, right? So the BIS has come out and said that they are absolutely moving toward central bank digital coins, and they are now moving much more quickly than they originally had discussed. way back, way back. It's 18 months ago. That's way back in terms today, because man, have things changed. But 18 months ago, Christine Lagarde from the European Central Bank, she said, you know what, we're going to look at these CBDCs, but we're probably 7 years off. But according to Augustus, or what's his name? Augustin, sorry, I better say his name correctly. We're now fast tracking this whole thing. So they're on their way. And he doesn't even hide the fact that these central bank digital coins are going to be excellent because they'll know every single purchase and everywhere the money came from for the individual holder. So the central bank will release these funds. You'll never really own them. You will have use of them, and they will be the property of the central bank, but you'll use them for commercial activity, and they'll know every single thing you do. So every dollar that you earn or spend, you don't have to worry about taxes because it's just coming right off the top. You'll have no choice. So that's what's happening with a CBDC. Now, this, if it sounds a bit like Big Brother, it's because it totally is. And what they're going to be able to do with networks and watching people is frankly unconscionable. Now, some of you might say, "Well, I got nothing to hide. I'm a decent person," and there's nothing wrong with that. But would you be fine with the fact that every single move you made, it's all on the database, it's all on a ledger, it's being stored in this CBDC in the blockchain, and everything you've done along with that is being recorded? So here's an example. Being from Canada, let's use the Canadian dollar and say the CBDC is going to be a crypto maple. That's what they're going to call it, a crypto maple. So I'm issued, for the money that I had in the bank, I'm now issued crypto maples, and I have a hold of these things, and I can use them to buy and purchase. I'll certainly be required to use them for passports or government services, such as international airports where I'm traveling and moving. Anything that has a federal jurisdiction around it, you'll absolutely be required to use a CBDC. Likewise for licensing and things like that. So the crypto maple is in my bank, and along comes this mandate, and it says you can't do anything, you can't work, you can't leave the country unless you have gotten 2 jabs and a booster. Now, I'm not going to argue whether you should or shouldn't. That's a whole other topic that we're not getting into. The point is, the government is mandating something that is a medical experiment on your body. Now, if you happen to say I'm not in favor of that, a crypto maple could all of a sudden find itself not working for you. You came on the wrong side of the political issue. The government said you need 2 jabs and a booster, and until you can prove it with your passport, your banking doesn't work. So that's problematic. If you don't think it is, well, good luck, okay? Because it gets worse. So there's a handful of people that say, look, this is tyrannical. We don't agree with this, and we're going to protest. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our trucks and we're going to drive across the country, and along the way we'll fill up gas with our crypto maples, and we'll go to Ottawa and we'll tell them that we're really pissed off. And the government gets wind that this convoy of trucks is on its way and says, this could be embarrassing, so take a picture of every license plate of these trucks, because it's already registered back into the blockchain. They know that that's John Bentwistle, and John Bentwistle's truck is insured here, so just turn off his insurance and turn off his crypto maples, and he'll never make it to Ottawa. But let's say a couple of guys, they hide their license plate or whatever, and you can't figure it out. They get into Ottawa, and they start honking their horns and protesting, and people watching online say, you know what, I agree with these guys, and I think I'd like to fund their protest. So I go into my crypto maple wallet, and I fund some money for gas or whatever, or food, hot dogs, snow shovels, bouncy castles, whatever. However, the government knows where my crypto maples are and what I spent them on and when I spent them, and I'm not allowed to sponsor a terrorist group. that goes totally against the rules of the government. So now my bank account finds itself shut off, or potentially to get my attention before they just completely take me off the grid, maybe what they do is they impose a fine. So I had 500 Canadian crypto maples in my wallet. Suddenly they're gone because that'll teach you, don't do that again. So this can happen. And anything that you're looking to purchase, it all kind of falls into the same thing. So how will they implement this, and when is it coming? It's coming very quickly. And how they'll implement it is through, for example, ArriveCan. When you come back into Canada, you need to fill out this digital form. They're just putting it all in a database. If you were in British Columbia, as we were, there's a vaccine passport. They're going to tie that together. Now, they're not going to say to you that we're Big Brother and we're monitoring literally every move and thought. No. It's going to be so convenient for you. This is going to be something that you don't have to worry anymore of fumbling with your passports at the airport and going in unzipping things. No. It's all here. You just, as a matter of fact, you don't have to do anything because it's sitting here on your smartphone. And when you walk past a reader that picks up your RFID or your NFC chip on your phone, which is all programmed into your wallet, they know exactly who you are. So you've cleared the gate. The light goes green when you walk up. They've said, yep, everything we need to know is about you. You passed through the gate at this time. You're a good little doggy. You can come back into your country. So they're going to sell it as an advantage to you of all these services together, your social insurance number, your banking. Now you just walk up to a terminal and you hold your phone up and you spend your crypto maples. What a wonderful world. It's fantastic. And they're going to put this in place and tell you how much they care about you and want to secure your wealth. Now, there's a bit of a catch here, because when they are securing your wealth, it's actually not your wealth at all. Again, crypto maples belong to the central bank. The central bank issues them. This is just a means for you to transact. How are you going to save? And if you do save, what if you want to save out of something that's outside of the government regulations? So here's an example. You're going to be taxed through Crypto Maple, and every transaction that happens, they'll know. All right, there's no more income tax, by the way, which is another advantage they're going to tell us. Okay, yeah, you don't have to file income tax anymore. The purchase that you make, it's just taxed right off the top. Probably what they call a VAT, a value-added tax. It's just a flat tax across the board that you are constantly paying. Now, some would say that, who could argue that? That sounds like a reasonable thing. However, we no longer have any choice. So I don't mind paying a tax, what they were calling a sin tax. So for example, if I went in and bought a case of beer, I know I'm going to be taxed, and it's my choice. I don't have to drink beer. I can choose not to drink beer, but I like beer. So I'd like to have some beer. But here's where the hook comes in. What I decide in my head is, nah, screw it. I'm not paying that sin tax or VAT on my case of beer. I'm going to go meet up with a farmer. I'm going to take the old Canadian dollars that we had. Maybe they're still acceptable, or maybe instead I'll trade a piece of jewelry or a goat or something like this, and I'll transact, and I'll take the hops and the barley, and I'll make my own beer. Well, as long as I do that underground, that's fine. Nobody's any wiser. But if I use Crypto Maple to go to the farmer and say, listen, I'd like to buy barley, and I understand there's really very little tax on barley and hops, so I'm going to buy these as agricultural goods and pay less than if I bought a case of beer. But I'm going to make my own beer. And then I got to go down to the store and I got to buy the big plastic vats and the funnels and the squishy things and all that to make beer, right? Remember, this thing came along with me, and when I bought those goods by Crypto Maple, the database is taking a look and it's correlating through artificial intelligence, and it's saying hops, barley, buckets, squishy things, you're making beer. So boom, there's the sin tax right on top of all the goods, and you have no say in the matter. You might have been doing a high school project or an experiment, you're still taxed because you could make beer out of it, and the government is going to look out for us, because remember, they're always after our own good. So they'll make sure that the tax goes accordingly. Here's another thing that's going to happen as you travel. Your car is going to be moving along a grid, and this is now mobility taxing. This is the carbon tax. This is how this is going to happen through CBDC. In Canada, the crypto maple. As you drive from point A to point B, money is just coming out of your wallet. Just like it did at the gas pump, only you have no choice. You move from A to B. That's the carbon tax. That's how you're going to pay for it, because we all need that. Remember, because plastic straws are ruining the planet, and we have to figure out a way that the ozone and the CO2 and all that stuff, which is naturally occurring as plants and vegetation rot, but we're responsible for ruining the planet, remember. And it's only the elite that can use private jets and electric vehicles that are charged through a station that is actually powered by a diesel generator. And seriously, you got to look at this. There's this woke festival, and all their EVs are arriving, and they're plugging in this grass field, and it's all beautiful. But when you follow the lines, the electrical lines from the gas pumps, they go back to a diesel generator. So it's a parody. At the least, it's hypocritical. It's basically hogwash. We're being brain damaged, and that goes back to our indoctrination at school. So I won't get into that right now. That could take me in a whole different area. But we got the carbon tax coming, we got the VAT, and we're going to have our social score. Now, your social score all depends on how well you follow rules. Now, don't ever say anything negative against, or derogatory. Negatory is a blended word, derogatory and negative. So I just made that up on the spot. So negatory about the government, because your social score will go down. And when you go to the bank to get a loan because you want to buy your pod to live in, and they take a look at your earnings and your crypto maples, oops, your social score is down because you said something against the government. So there is no free speech anymore. It's either approved speech with the proper pronouns, I might add, or no soup for you, or in this case, no mortgage. All right, that's going to happen, and this is why these CBDCs are on their way. Can we stop them? And what do we do about it? Well, let's talk about that in just a minute. But how much time do you think we really have? Is probably the question, if you even believe what I'm saying. And by the way, I know there's a whole lot of people that said, oh, this is conspiracy theory, you're a wacko, put your tinfoil hat on there, buddy. Well, once our good friend here, Augustin Carstens, went public, he turned basically the theory into a conspiracy. All right? So he removed the word theory altogether, and it is now just simply a conspiracy. Why is it a conspiracy? Because they're holding off just enough time so that their friends, their cronies, these are the inside people, the people of the big club that you and I don't belong to, those people are going to have a chance to get their money out. They're going to be able to put it into funds and bank accounts and other places that they can essentially hide their wealth, because they're all in on this scam, essentially. It's a cartel. Let's just call it what it is. And their money will get out of the country, not yours. Yours can't move, because as you know, if you've ever gone up to a border and you've tried to move any amount of funds across the border, anything under, or pardon me, over 10,000 Canadian dollars, you've got to report. Now, at any given time, if it's gold or silver, that could be confiscated. They can take that. Not for the friends of the government and the cronies, mind you. They've got the escape hatch in place right now, and that's all. That means our money, or their money, is funneling out. It's frankly our money, because it all came from taxes that we pay on beer and barley and hops and houses and cricket burgers. Anyhow, that's how they got our money, and then they're taking it out of the country. So the government gave them an escape hatch for Canadians. You might remember a guy named Paul Martin. Paul Martin actually closed the ability to have a foreign trust, because they wanted to make sure that all the money was staying in Canada to pay this exorbitant tax bill from the money that the government is borrowing off of the Bank of International Settlements. You see how this works. But first, Paul Martin got his own personal finances and all the finances of his buddies out of the country, and this actually became a thing called the Panama Papers or the Paradise Papers. Maybe both. Look that up, seriously. And if you don't think it's a fact, just check it out. It was a leak. It was like a WikiLeaks kind of an idea, and it blew the lid off all of that stuff. So don't think for one second that the government is now playing fair. No, that's not the case, because we understand as well the people that are at the top, such as our friend Justine Castro here in Canada. He is not elected. That's just a breads and circuses for the unwashed masses, us piss ants here. We believe we have a say in the matter, and if you've lived in Canada, you know the election's over before it hits Manitoba. So Eastern time zone to Pacific time zone, who even cares? If you live in Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, or British Columbia, you don't matter. You can send all your tax money east, but don't think for one second that you're going to have a say. So all those Ontarians and Quebecers, they believe they have a say, but that doesn't matter either, because the government is appointed, or selected is more like it. So our friend in Ottawa, Monsieur Castro, he's starting to smell a bit. He's getting a little moldy, so they'll be moving him out, and they'll move the next puppet in soon enough. And that puppet will do the crypto maple anyways. Okay, so what are we going to do for us? These piss ants, these unwashed masses. We're not going to be able to save anymore. We're not going to be able to transact with any privacy. So what is that going to mean for our future generations? Well, I shudder to think what grandkids or great-grandkids say down the road. They're like, what were my grandparents doing when the government was coming in and seizing all of their property, and in turn locking them down in a prison, which is basically what it is. It's just with the walls kicked out. You can't do anything. You can't say anything. You're on the grid. You're on the crypto maple. You're going to sell out your future generations. So think about that when you're saying, hey, I got nothing to hide. I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. I pay my taxes. I do things the right way. So no, I'm not going to worry about it. You just sold your grandkids down the road. So give that some thought. Now, if you want to look at an alternative, we have to think about, let's see, what could we do? I think personally, I think you gotta play their game. I think you have to use crypto maples to some degree. Is it possible to be off the grid and working in a black market? Yes, but is it realistic and is it comfortable? Probably not. So you're going to want to have some of those crypto maples, but you don't want to have all your wealth in that particular CBDC. So that means there's a little bit of time. There's probably 12, 18 months. Now, if only there was a way that I could take my existing Canadian dollars and put it in a unconfiscatable, censorship-resistant digital network that was decentralized, that nobody actually controlled, and the governments couldn't get a handle on it. I wonder if there's anything like that. If only there was a network that was sustained by proof of work and an updated code that was publicly available to audit. Something like Bitcoin. Yeah. Now, what could Bitcoin do in the next 12 months for you? It could allow you to set up your wealth, store your wealth in a place that is all of those things I just mentioned. You can have it over here, but you don't commingle crypto maples and your real freedom wealth. Now, you keep those two things apart, and that's going to require some planning. That's going to require a little bit of work. That might mean that you're going to have to do a little bit of research. See, because the idea now, if we're going to go into this new world order, we can either follow along like the NPCs with our masks and our inability to show any expression. I'm smiling at you right now, as a matter of fact, but you can't tell because my eyes are covered and my mouth is covered, and nobody seems to know that I'm expressing things to little babies and things like that. So Sorry, I got off on a bit of a tangent. What we can do with our freedom money is we can keep our wealth aside for future generations. There's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin, ever mind, and the last one isn't going to be until 2140 something, so you got a long time before Bitcoin finally runs out. And even then, one Bitcoin is divisible in 100 million units called Satoshis. So in the very, very near future, you're going to start looking at Satoshis like pennies. So you could be a billionaire in Satoshis. What you have to do is you have to start making some choices now, and you have to start acquiring these. So there is some planning that's involved in that regard. If you're going to take on that responsibility, the onus is also on you to learn how to secure those Satoshis, your Bitcoin. And then you have to learn how to use them privately. And I can help you. I'll put a link in the notes below. If you're interested, you can give me a shout. I can help you on this. And I'm not doing anything wrong. Remember, the escape hatch is open for the cronies. It's open for us too. But only if you take advantage of it. Because once that, I was going to say a real bad word, once that thing shuts, it's done. You're done. You don't get your wealth outside. It's now cornered in the crypto maple, the CBDC, and anywhere you go in the world, in the G7 world anyway, they know what you're up to. Okay, so it's time to get out with the escape hatch, and it's time to do a little bit of learning. I hope to provide some information through these podcasts, and as I said, you can contact me through Twitter, and that's also linked in the notes below. And if you think this makes some sense, or you know somebody and you're saying, hey, maybe we should do a little bit of research, get a group together, get a meetup together. What a fantastic way to start talking about what this might mean. They call that orange pilling, all right? You know, the red pill, the blue pill. If you ever watch The Matrix, well, Bitcoin is the orange pill. So get orange pilled. And once you do, you'll start to learn how to get on board. I can help you on board. There's lots of people online willing to do that. Bitcoiners are a really caring, giving bunch. This ain't all about money, folks. It's about protecting our property, our wealth, and our future, and our freedom. I'd love to be able to go to that farmer and buy those hops and that barley, and I use my wallet, my digital wallet, and I ping his wallet, but we're on the Bitcoin network, and the only people that know that that transaction took place, the farmer and me. When I get paid for my energy, my time, my labor, bing, I'll get it in my Bitcoin wallet. And I can use Lightning to transact like that. I can buy coffee with Lightning, or I can buy a bicycle. But the government has nothing to do or to say. Now, if I choose to offer some tax money toward things that I believe are a good cause, helping our fellow human beings that are having a rough go, a little bit of charity. You know what? Let the people decide. Because how's that working out for you as far as the government making the decisions? Are you satisfied they're spending your money well? I'm not. So I'd like to have that choice. And this is the way we can do this. Freedom money, we can make the choices, at least give us a shot. So this experiment is going to happen. It's on its way. You got two parallel paths. You're a crypto maple, your CBDC, a la Augustus Gloop, or your own education and your freedom money. Get on it. Now's the time. Don't let the clock run out. See you on the next video.